Welcome to Tech Tuesday. My name is Abby Ritchie. I'm the founder of Senior Savvy, and you can find me right here every Tuesday interviewing people who are engaged in technology in senior living. It's a great place to be, and I love meeting people and talking about how they're using technology in senior living. Before we bring on our guests, let's go ahead and run our intro. Welcome back. I want to invite my guests on today, and I want to tell you I'm really thrilled to have them because we have Cole Marvin from Friendship Village Tempe. Welcome, Cole.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. And we also have Travis Saunders from Friendship Village Tempe. And their community happens to be one where I'm teaching at every week. And so I absolutely love and adore your residents. And because of that, I like you guys too. So welcome to Tech Tuesday.
Thank you. We're excited to be here. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So Cole, let's go ahead first and introduce you. You are the executive director at Friendship Village Tempe, right?
Yes. I came to Friendship Village Tempe via Honolulu in March of 2007.
Okay, via Honolulu. I like that. I like that. And Travis, how about you? You are the CIO at Friendship Village Tempe.
Right. I was previously actually a contractor for somewhere around 9 years. And now I've been internal with the company for just shy of 8 years.
Well done, guys. Well done. Well, I want to talk, first of all, about the technology that you're using in your community right now.
For sure. I think one of the things that we wanted to talk about was our resident engagement app or community apps, which is probably the funny story about bringing Travis online as an employee was when I first got to Friendship Village, I met our IT person. And if you wanted to find out how something would not work, you could go see him. And effectively, we never could do anything because nothing would ever work. And so that was one of the first changes I made. And we hired a company that we contracted with, and Travis was our person. And then finally, after making, I don't know, probably 20 bad technology decisions, I fired myself for making any technology decisions. I convinced Travis to be our CIO, and it's been awesome ever since.
That is a really good realization. So naturally, there are going to be some executive directors who are going to be technically inclined and are going to want to make these decisions. And then there are going to be other ones who are going to need input and they're going to need support. And so I've noticed that there are some communities have a CIO and some don't. Do you think that all of them do?
I don't know that all of them do, but I think all of them should. If you fully understand, you got two things happening in a senior living community. You have your staff and you have your residents. And we talk about engagement a lot here at Friendship Village. It's not exactly satisfaction, it's engagement. And we know to be true, if our employees are engaged, if we give them the tools, equipment, resources, training they need to do their jobs right, their productivity is going to be much greater. And so by having Travis and his full IT team there to support not only our residents, but our staff, there's nothing more frustrating than having technology that doesn't work. And it is disengaging. And so with his team, it's not somebody saying, did you restart your computer yet? They actually come into your office. They're really friendly, wonderful people. And they're the type of people you want to call to come in, which is important because that's not always the case. So our employee engagement, which we measure, is at the highest within Life Care Services, the company that manages Friendship Village. And one of the big things that we attribute that to is the support of technology.
So good. I also like how you said that the people who come in are friendly. And, because I hear about it on the other end, I will hear that residents will say, not at your community, but at other communities, that the IT people there, they just don't have the interest or the heart to really make a connection and help people. But that's not happening at Friendship Village Tempe.
It's not. And honestly, if an IT person makes you feel stupid, the chances of you engaging them and calling them go down tremendously.
That is true. So let's back up now, years and years ago. You decided to start using your engagement app. Tell me about how that came about. Why so many years ago? I mean, I think it's awesome, but there were a lot of communities that did not get on board with this
Yep.
until just 3 years ago or less. So
Yeah,
years ago.
we engaged Touchtown back in 2014. So that was quite a long time ago. And, the biggest thing you hear about in my position is communication, communication, communication. And if it's effective, you have satisfied residents. If it's not, you've got dissatisfied people. And sometimes even worse, they'll make up things on their own that aren't true. So we knew communication was important. And I think we believed that the concept there was what we needed to support us. Then it was a matter of finding the right one and engaging them. So back in 2014, there wasn't a whole lot of folks out in the business, and we ended up working with Touchtown. We were already using them for our in-house television channels, which, was kind of just a step in that same direction. We use television to communicate with people. Now we're going to use this app that you can put on your computer, put on your phone. We'll create some kiosks so that you can access it if you don't have any of those, and really make it available to you to engage in.
Great. So in the years that you've been using it, how are residents using it to engage, and how do they use it to make it better?
Yeah. Travis, why don't you jump on that one?
Yeah, we have. So it really allows you to put a ton of information into it. We've got everything from our menus to our daily and monthly activity plans in there. You can message within there. Our residents do a lot of their work orders, whether they're IT related or not, directly through resident apps. So it's super convenient for them. They could be sitting in the cafe, for example, and it crosses their mind, hey, I forgot I need to put in a ticket for this. And they just pull up their phone and they can send us a ticket, from their cafe chair. Works out fantastic. We have links within it also to other services that we use. So if you want to reserve a table, you can jump from there to Open Table. We have a live construction camera that runs 24 hours, just watching our new building being built right now. And so when there's something neat happening there, like the crane was coming down, or when they were, doing something neat, a demolition piece of it or something, there's a lot of people jumping to it from that app. So it gives you sort of a launch pad to get from the one piece to what other services you might be using outside of it. But really I think it's taken off with our residents in that they could see that the platform was there, and the potential that it had. And then they helped really make a lot of the recommendations for how they wanted it to change, how they wanted it to change in the organization of it. And we have some residents who they themselves are actually doing a lot of input into it. So it's been pretty fantastic.
Well, Andy wants to know, was there a learning curve when the app first came out?
So two things. One is obviously it's 2023. The number of folks who have a computer, have an iPad, have a phone that is a smartphone that they're able to use has increased exponentially, which has really helped the adoption of the program be stronger, more campus wide versus just your back in the day, really IT edgy people. So that's been huge. And I will say, and I've said this, rarely have I had an experience where technology fresh out of the box worked well. Mm-hmm. This would be one of the only examples, there are few examples that I could point towards that truly did come out of the box ready to roll. And you've got user error all day long, and we can always work with that. But it's so intuitive. I mean, the tiles and everything, you press them, it comes up, you can easily exit out of it and go to something else. It went pretty well.
Now, you mentioned early on that the residents adopted it quite easily. And so, one thing I do know about Touchdown is that at different communities, they have a resident council, a tech council that they'll help train to answer questions and to learn and to, to use the app. Did you find that same thing at your community as well?
Absolutely. Travis works with the group and he can speak more to that.
Yeah, we have a technology committee. It actually started out as a communications committee, but that sort of the same people that were involved in that were very, much the tech conscious individuals that wanted to be involved in technology overall. So that committee turned into the technology committee, and they have a lot of input of how they want it to change, what sort of information they want in the app. We've run through that committee. They've run a bunch of surveys to our residents to understand better what technology they have in their home, and then they help feed that information to administration here. So the technology that they have and the technology that they want to know more about, and things that also the pieces of technology that they would like help with, and that sort of thing.
I want to go ahead and put this question back up here from Ryan because it's a great question. Can residents order health and wellness services like a physician or a telemedicine or a therapy visit through the app?
So one thing, obviously, that COVID brought was people engaging in technology more to communicate and those types of things. And so, ironically, just before COVID hit, we had brought on a nurse practitioner clinic for our campus that served our residents and was able to do those things. So we used the app a lot during COVID for pushing out information and communication and providing them with forms or whatnot. But in addition, we ended up adding the nurse practitioner clinic as a tile within the app, which allows you to do the things that the question asked. Yes.
That's brilliant. It's so necessary. And I did want to ask you about the changes that occurred during COVID, that where you had this in place and then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad we have this in place, but it would be so much better if we had this. So what are some of those things that came up for you during COVID?
Well, I mean, coordinating care, I think what was a big deal. A lot of testing, so people were in their homes. They could use the app to make contact with the NP clinic to schedule an in-home testing. That was a huge thing versus them wandering out of their home and walking around the village, potentially, spreading COVID unnecessarily. They could really use that tool in that app to get those things scheduled. I think that was honestly a big one. And then the other one was just putting information in the hands of people so they did not connect dots on their own, because sometimes that doesn't go well for you. Yeah. We really were able to push out hard, concrete information during COVID on a daily, hourly basis if we needed to keep people tuned in. And if we saw themes of questions, we could use the app to push those out. It really worked well.
I love it. I love it. We have a question here and about residents checking their meal balances. Is that a possibility through the app?
So you can bounce from Touchdown into Full Count. We use Full Count for our ordering and payment system.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have dining dollars here, and so yes, they are able to access through the app.
So you can bounce from Touchdown. We can link into those secondary services. Yeah.
Great. And so tell me, when you're thinking about new technology and adding to this or adding more at your community, what comes to mind?
Some of the big stuff that we're still working out, it is this community has been here, Friendship Village has been here for a long time. And we've got a large campus. What is it? Somewhere in the 50-acre range.
Yeah, 55 acres, and we've been around for 43 years.
Yeah, so you can imagine over that amount of time, there's been a massive change. When it was first put in place, there was no structured wiring as far as communications go.
Mhm.
So whether it's Ethernet or fiber or whatever, none of that really existed. So that is a big piece of modernizing the community. In the areas where we already have that done now, we've seen, massive drops in work orders, all that kind of thing. Way higher satisfaction with the services that we provide over that infrastructure, rather than having to try to bounce wireless around and that sort of thing. So really focusing on finishing up the fiber infrastructure. Of course, the new building going up and the one that we previously just built that already has fiber in there, has all the newer technology. So finishing up that, and then doing some investigation into 5G. That's not a given at this point, but private 5G for a campus our size, and probably some other campuses that are similar. It's pretty interesting and pretty attractive. So looking in that direction as well.
Go ahead, Cole.
To add on to that real quick, two of the biggest challenges when I first got to the village in 2007 was, and this is no joke, if somebody, God forbid, sent you a PowerPoint presentation, you could literally click it and go get a coffee, use the restroom, and it may have opened up by then, maybe not, just to give you an idea. And then the other one was frustration amongst our residents who had Cox internet and the service, the ability to get things fixed, whether it was user error or truly on their end, was a challenge. So we took internet in-house. You can still use Cox if you want. You can use whatever you want, but we offer the village internet, which comes with Travis and his team, who are going to come to your home. And so we're well over $100,000 a year in revenue just through Wi-Fi sales or internet.
Yeah, that's big. Yeah, that's big. All right, I wanted to ask you something else. So it's and so this is also just beyond the wires too. I know I saw you guys at CES. Did you see anything there that piqued your interest that would benefit your residents and your community?
Yeah, some of the AI that is, that's all over any sort of tech news you look at right now. You cannot open a news feed without seeing some developments in AI, whether they're using Bard or ChatGPT or whatever. Some of that does look really neat. It's not there yet, but some of that is really pretty cool. And then some of the analytics in the health area looks really neat. One of the things that I know Cole was excited about was the some of the walker technology, right? So that could help you analyze your steps. It could detect shuffling. It can, really improve a person's quality of life there. So yeah, a lot of that. And really, when it comes down to it, in a community like this, you're not just focused on technology. You really have to look at how is this going to help our residents? How is this going to help our people, that we care for? How is it going to make their lives better? It's not just about, new or shiny, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Alexa, I think, is also pretty impressive as to everything that it can do. And ironically, sometimes a major motivator for someone to come to a senior living community is macular degeneration. Yeah. We have a couple handfuls of folks living here, and they want to move in before the vision is nearly gone and get acclimated in those types of things. And using technology like Alexa, we have residents using that, whether it be tell me what's on the menu today in the Village Cafe or what's on the fireside menu, those types of things. Give me the activities. It can go a long way with helping supplement challenges that are presented to you through various healthcare conditions.
That's actually another great link back into Touchtown, right? So Touchtown has the community skill where you can add the menus that we have. As long as those are entered properly, you can get the menu for the day read back to you through an Echo device or an Alexa enabled device. So it can help you out with activities and menus and some of the basics that if you really have a difficult time seeing or are completely blind, that you can still get that information. It keeps you connected with the community.
I'm always encouraging my students to get to know their new BFF, the digital assistant, because as time goes on, our fingers lose dexterity and our eyesight diminishes. The ability to speak to that digital assistant is going to persevere and last such a long time and
Yeah.
help them. So start using it today. I'm always telling them about that.
For sure.
Yeah.
The only other thing, Abby, I'd like to fold in there, and that really I think is part of the secret sauce to our success is one, how much we care about our residents, but two, how much we care about our staff,
Yeah.
and how the two come together. And so initially the engagement app was designed primarily for resident use, but we have really put an incredible amount of employee applications and uses on there, ranging from announcements to attendance line to accessing benefits to HR forms, all kinds of information on there, as well as, we do these resident directories where you can look up a resident, gives you limited information. If a resident goes in and edits their profile, you can find out where they're from, where they work, and really get to know each other. And the same on the employee side too, which I think is important.
Yeah, you can even do a search just in the little app. Just do a search for pickleball and see how many residents now have that in their bio and have a similar interest to what you have.
Yeah. Jesse wrote in, he said, I love that thought. It's more than just look shiny tech, but it's usable. And, I love what you just said, Cole, about it benefiting the staff, because that was definitely something I wanted to know more about. Obviously, this is great for the residents and intercommunication and connection, but the fact that the staff can go in there as well and, understand more about a resident to create a connection and develop a relationship to get their HR forms that they need to input hours. Is that also available?
Yeah. Call in sick, any of those things. And then it organizes it. It gives us a heads up quickly so we can hopefully fill the shift. It goes directly to the individual that needs to know. It just really improves communication.
Awesome. Well, I want to ask you the big fail question. And this question is, which module or which tile or which feature within the resident app were you just so excited about and it just went nowhere?
I've got a different example of that, but Travis, do you have anything there?
I would say I don't really have a module in there that bombed.
I would say our inability to keep it refreshed. That was one of my frustrations.
As far as
too much.
Sure. As far as what is, the difficult piece in any system like this is keeping the information fresh. Just exactly what you said. And that flat out, it just takes some time and takes focus to do that. We have a lot of help from our resident tech committee on that. And they're pretty fantastic about keeping that going. But that is probably one of the biggest, difficulties, but I wouldn't say that's a fail. I honestly can't think of any module that we thought we wanted to add. And then we said, you know what, we should dump that. I don't think that's there.
So what I'll say is, and I'm the flashy, shiny guy. That's how I had to get out of that seat because I was making those types of bad decisions. One that it doesn't fall into that category necessarily, but one of the most important activities we have here at Friendship Village is residents love trivia. I think everybody loves to show everybody how smart they are. And my Lord, we have trivia where people come into the auditorium and it's more old school based, paper fashion. And we have a sports bar at Friendship Village. And I'm like, you know what? We got to get the buzz time trivia in the sports bar so that somebody could go in there, sit down and have fun, compete with other people, either in our sports bar or they allow you to compete nationwide and you can show everybody how smart you are. And we could not get anyone to engage in that to save my life. And we finally had to make the decision to get rid of it. It's not cheap, but that was an absolute fail. And you would not have thought it because trivia is so popular. They just didn't want to do it that way.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's one of those other programs, though, that I still thought there was potential there. Full disclosure, it wasn't my idea, but I think that to really get that engagement, it was going to require a lot more directed effort to get people onboarded, to get people into teams and that sort of thing. And I think that's part of why we had a difficulty here, is that we didn't have that person to really focus on that and keep it on track. So it would kind of gain a little steam, and then it would kind of die off and back and forth.
Yeah, got it. Well, as we wrap up today, is there anything else you want to share with our viewers in regards to how the app has been benefiting your community, both on the resident and the staff side?
No, I mean, it's flexibility and scalability. So again, as things come up that nobody saw pandemic coming, nobody saw a nurse practitioner clinic, how important that was going to be. But as things evolve, you use your mind as to how valuable this tool is, and we just add buttons to it as things evolve.
Yeah. I second that. It's the flexibility is fantastic, and I know that the Touchdown team is also working on a lot more single sign-on. So if you have an app that, let's say, you want to link from resident apps, everyone at our campus knows where to go to start, right? That's not a question. But then once you get there, making that jump into the secondary service that Touchdown doesn't own, but they can get into that, and then having that single sign-on take them directly in without an additional username and password. A lot of those apps, though, you can just store it in your smartphone, and it's fine. But a few of those, having the single sign-on, I think, is going to be pretty neat coming up.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask or second this. Can families communicate through the app?
We generally only set it up for our staff and residents, but I would say that's not generally how we do it. Now, we do have some family members who, like, let's say their mom or dad has the app on their phone, and so they'll get with them and they'll just install the app as well, so that they can also understand, they can know what's on the menu, they can know what the activities are, and they can talk about those things with their parents, but we don't set up a separate account for them.
Got it. Yeah. So I have noticed that some of the other resident engagement platforms do allow family members to interact, whether it's with photos or checkups with staff, that type of thing. So, well, good. We had a Touchtowner come across and enjoy the conversation. And I have as well, and have been a fan of Touchdown for many years. And I'm so glad and so thankful that it's been benefiting your community this much. You've shared a lot of information, and I've learned a lot. And I just want to thank the folks who wrote in and submitted those questions. And Cole, how can people get in contact with you if they have more questions?
Yeah, I think you could make contact either through the email address on the screen. That's probably honestly your best bet. I love email, probably use it more than I should, but that's the best bet.
Good to know. And Travis, how about you?
Same thing.
Yeah, email. All right. These guys are accessible via email. Well, guys, thank you for coming on the show. Please say hello to all your residents. I adore them, and I'll be seeing them again next week. And guys, keep up the good work. I mean, to me, it sounds like you're really serving your community on many levels. And I just want to say, well done.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And for our viewers out there, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for submitting your questions. And we will see you right back here next week. Goodbye.